the commission would have been $7,000, we made $72,000.
It's a little better.
I've never lost money on a Novation because we build in. The mistake I see investors make is they're very optimistic in their numbers and they shoot for 10 and then end up making nothing. The biggest difference when I went from an agent to an investor was investors focus on the bottom number that the seller's willing to accept. Agents, we naturally go into like, what's the highest number and like, how can we get them that? A lot of us real estate agents are scared to talk about investing. So far, we've done deals in 14 states. I want to touch every single state. I just wanted to say thank you to Aaron, to Gabriela, to everybody for inviting me to speak. Last year, I was just an attendee, just like you guys. I came because of Aaron, because I respected him so much, but I stayed because of Carla and Gabriela. Yes! And then I can never leave now because I love them too much. So, and you guys will feel the same, I'm sure, if this is your first time. Yeah. So I've been having some amazing conversations and I've made some new connections this year and some connections that I've already built relationships with, like Miss Jessica over here. And what has been coming up a lot for me in the last year and in conversations with Aaron, with my business partner, with my life partner, has been like living a life by design. For a really long time, I'm, like Aaron says, I'm ambitious and I like to learn and I'm a high achieving individual and I'm always looking for the next thing. But I think for a really long time, I was just doing it for the wrong reasons. For, seeking validation, chasing money, trying to feel that sense of self-worth. And I will say it's still a work in progress. I haven't fully, figured life out. But I think for the first time in a really long time, I feel like I'm living my life the way I was supposed to be. I'm living my life with intention, with purpose. And I feel really fulfilled with what I'm doing. Not that selling real estate wasn't like cool, but I think it was just a path that led me to where I am today, which is helping other people, helping them make money. I make money in the process, but just the act of changing someone's perspective, changing someone's business, that really is truly what brings me joy. And I had a conversation with Aaron. We were texting. It was so funny because I think I actually called you because I was starting to help a lot of the elite builders close deals. And that feeling that I got when someone else made money was like unreal. Like closing more deals wasn't giving me that anymore. And I told Aaron, like, I think I've unlocked like a new level of life because I'm helping other people make money. So this is my path, right? Everyone has their own path. And it's taken me a while to figure out, like, do I want to be Aaron? Do I want to be Jose Luis? Or do I just want to be me? And I think I'm finally just me and I'm happy with where I am. And I want to share with you guys some of that knowledge today and what I've been able to create for myself. All right, let's get started. So creating a life by design, how to do deals nationwide with others, through others. One thing that I've noticed through my evolution in life and business and just maturing and growing is that there's always an identity that we need to shift, but it starts with a belief. We need to shift the belief, then the identity follows. And I went from working a 9-to-5 job to then my identity was a real estate agent and a buyer's agent. Then I started working with Aaron and then I shifted to like, I want to be a listing agent. And then I shifted to, I want to be an investor. And then I was in this weird place where I didn't know what was next. And then the identity that holds true for me right now is just a leader, right? I really like being in this space where I can take all of the lessons, carry them with me and help other people grow. So these were some of my limiting beliefs that I had to learn to step into this new phase of business. I don't know if any of you have some of these beliefs, but I'm going to read them to you guys. I want to do deals in other states, but I'm only licensed in Florida, Texas, California. I want bigger profits per deal, like Andrew, right? Like he's doing really well on the listing side. I want to do investment deals, but I just don't know how, the script, the framework, how to get started. And I want other agents to bring me deals. I know for some of you right now, you only look at other people bringing you deals as like referrals and making 25% and it's not as exciting. But what if you could take this information, learn it, become the expert in your market, and then have other agents bring you opportunities and you can grow and scale through others? And a lot of you are like top sales professionals in your field. Imagine if you just stack skills, you learn this, and then you have this funnel of people bringing you opportunities. All that is possible for you guys, but I had to overcome all these beliefs. What if we could shatter all of those beliefs, right? What if we could do deals nationwide in multiple states, make more money per deal than ever, bring massive value to others and help them make money, have agents bring you deals nationwide, Even in markets where the purchase prices are low, right? 30K, 40K, you could still have bigger margins, 12,000, 20,000, 30,000, and build a referral network nationwide. So my beliefs, I started shattering them locally in Florida. I can only do deals in Miami-Dade and Palm Beach because that's where I understand the market. That's where I have my connections. And then I slowly started to break through those beliefs. And these are all of the cities. I couldn't fit more of them in the thing, but these are all the cities that I've done deals with in Florida, or I've actually participated with someone else on a deal. So like a good amount of cities in Florida. So it started there. So if you're in a part of Texas, Dallas, Texas, and you want to do deals in other areas, start with Texas, show the proof that it's possible, and then you can go bigger. And then starting to do deals nationwide. So this is a newer initiative that I started last year. So far, we've done deals in 14 states. I have really big goals. I want to touch every single state, but I want to do it with others and help them make money. So every time I step foot in a state, I want to make sure it's with another individual as a joint partnership, because it serves two purposes. My goals of like, I want to do a deal in every state, but it helps someone else and their family and their business. So it's in alignment with my purpose. So I'm going to fill up those little boxes. So the virtual model. So basically we can do deals in any state using the right strategies, which are wholesaling and novations. Mastering those two strategies, you can go into any state and start doing deals without needing to be licensed. Now there are states where you do need to be licensed to wholesale, like Chicago is one of them, Oregon. So make sure that you take the time to study the local laws. Most states you don't need to be licensed, but there's certain states where you do. Great thing is you're already licensed. So it's not really anything that's going to keep you from doing deals. You can create a joint venture network where people bring you deals and we can make more money per deal. My current business right now consists of cash offer marketing, and then we do joint ventures. So the cash offer marketing, we do Facebook ads, paper leads, and we do YouTube ads. We've actually paused the YouTube ads, put a lot more of our money into Facebook leads, and then the joint venture network, having other people bring us deals, it doesn't cost us anything. So it's the best return of investment we've ever had. We do pay out our partners 30% or 50% depending on the deal, but it doesn't cost us anything. The joy of helping them is the most satisfying thing. So first thing that we need to do if you guys want to make this pivot is master wholesaling and novations. Build your brand intentionally. This is something that I started building last year, but this year I went full force into the brand, right? And it's through the results I've seen in the business and how I've been able to connect with others, and also the conversations that I've had with Aaron around becoming the expert in your field. I noticed there's a big gap there's a lot of investors that are really big in the space, but there's not a lot of real estate agents that are talking about investing. And I noticed I couldn't understand why, because we are in real estate and we operate in real estate, but a lot of us real estate agents are scared to talk about investing. A lot of the content that was being created by real estate agents was like, open houses and this is how much your house is worth. And it wasn't as appealing to the market. So I started creating content that was targeting real estate agents, but talking about real estate investing and what they could do, what was possible for them. And then growing through others. That's been a recurring pattern in my life, helping other people make money, not just focus on your own pocket. So when Aaron was talking this morning, I was like, damn, he's talking to me. Because I've had to let go of a lot of my own like ego and selfishness, and just understand that what I was put on this earth to do was this is my gift, like helping others, teach others. But it's never easy to change. What is a novation? So let's talk about strategies. So a novation is just a partnership with the seller. So it's just a way to do a deal. Who's your ideal prospect for a novation? It's a seller that wants a little bit more money than your cash offer. So we always start off our sales process with a cash offer. If that option doesn't fit the criteria because the seller wants more money, or if we are qualifying the seller and we know that the seller is flexible with time and access, and they're just looking for a hands-off experience, and we're going to pivot to our novation because it gives us a competitive advantage. Most cash buyers, like most of us, are offering the same amount, some of them a little bit more just because of resources. But with a novation, you can actually offer a lot more money. So what we're doing is we're agreeing to a net number with the seller. We're agreeing to handle commissions, closing costs, repairs, and then we're building our profit margin into the deal. So I'll show you guys on the next slide an example of what that looks like. The seller needs to be flexible with time, so it can't be a seller that needs to close in 2 weeks. That's not going to work. They want a hands-off experience and they're looking for convenience. And ideally, we want the home that is in good condition because we can actually sell a Novation to a finance buyer, FHA or Novation, FHA or conventional buyer. So if the house is in complete disrepair, it doesn't work. We usually go back to our cash offer. So here's what the numbers look like. So we're actually making our offer for a Novation based on as is value, not ARV. So ARV is what the house can sell for fixed up once we do all of our repairs. That's what we look at when we're looking at our cash offer. But for Novation, we're looking at what we can list it for. So let's say you were to do a listing presentation and you could list it on the market for 400. That's where we start our numbers and we work down from that. So what does the seller want? How much money do we want to make? And what are commissions and closing costs? And we build that into our offer. The average fee we want to make on these deals is $30,000, right? On smaller markets, that does pivot, but we always try to shoot for $30,000. So as far as repairs, we always budget in $5,000 to $10,000 in repairs. We are agreeing to handle any minor repairs. So we've changed the model. We have done novations where we go in, we fix and flip the whole house. We have opted out of that just from a risk standpoint. So now we're doing novations that are very low risk, meaning we're coming in, we're doing clean outs, minor touch-ups. We're spending less than $10,000 on the property and we're listing it on the market. And the goal is to get their seller their guaranteed number. We make money and everybody's happy. Mm-hmm.
Is Novation, is it kind of like a net listing?
Similar to a net listing. So depending on your state, some states you can, some states you can't do a net listing, but it is very similar. Yeah, it's a similar concept.
Would you say, at least can you tell me, you're the expert, is it like essentially like I'm going to flip your property but I'm not going to take possession?
Pretty much, yeah. And I was going to get into the specifics of it, but from a business standpoint, it makes sense because we can offer more money without the increased risk. Because, for example, not to throw any shade on Jack, but we were doing a lot of fix and flips and wholesale deals, and we were taking on a lot of these deals. And on the smaller margin deals where you're only making 30 or 40,000, like a small mistake, you're losing money on the deals. So we realized like these smaller flips, 30 to 40K, are not worth our time. So we got more specific on what kind of flips we wanted. And if the margin isn't over 60 to 70,000, it's not worth our time. But there was these smaller deals where we're like, should we wholesale it? But then wholesaling it, what that means is you're buying it with your own money or raising capital. You're putting it on the market. It's a really good strategy, but there's also risk involved. Versus with a Novation, the seller remains on title the whole time. If there's any minor things that need to be done, we do them. We list it on the market. And then we could make those 30 to 40K margins work because there's no holding costs, no costs to buy the property. Like we save a lot on the fees. Obviously, it all comes down to the right type of prospect. One thing that I've learned, because we have so many different solutions, is that you have to get really good at knowing the products to know what you're going to present. Because like a confused mind will never make a decision. Because if I tell you right now, do you want chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, you're going to be, whoa. I don't know. With the seller, it's the same thing. So we're going down, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, this is the right solution. So with a Novation, it can't be someone that wants to list their home. If they want the most money, they're already talking about listing the home. They start off telling you how they have the nicest house in the block and they want as much money as possible. I'm not even going to entertain the Novation or cash offer conversation. I'm going to be like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Why don't we explore this option? So you can't put someone into a bucket that they don't fit in. But a lot of times when you don't know, you're offering too much and you're confusing them. So the ideal prospect for this is someone that does have time and is flexible. And the way that I pitch it, and I'll go over a little bit how I do it, is I remind them like, oh, you said you were flexible with time, right? What if you could just give me a little bit of time and access? That's it. And I can get you an extra 20, 30,000.
If you're doing the deal in a different state and you need to do some updates to it, you're partnering with someone, right? Because you're not flying out there to make sure it's done.
The way we're doing it in other states, so if we're local in the South Florida market, because we know the market, we have a lot of like local realtor partners that will list it for us at a discounted fee. If we're going to another area where we don't know the market, we always hire real estate agents to list Novations that understands the market. So we go through a process of vetting them to make sure they're like investor friendly and they're not going to, cause the deal to go south. As far as repairs, we've gotten really tight with how we do them. We do them after inspections and after the loan approval. So once we know the deal is going to go to the finish line, we push all of our repairs to the end and we do them after. Because we would to mitigate risk.
You
Yeah.
already have a buyer in place.
Yeah. We do very minimal upfront. So let's say we have done like clean outs when the property, like you can't even walk it. We do clean outs, but we try to keep all of our expenses to the end. Once we have even like a clear to close, like, hey, give us a couple extra days and we'll do all of the repairs.
They don't want the cash offer because they want more money. But they don't want to list it. They want to do this. Can you give me like a real world tangible? I'm trying to understand like who this person is. I've never done it.
Yeah. A lot of you guys already work with those types of sellers. Like probate is a great lead source. Some of our best deals have been probate. I worked with Mark, actually one of his sellers that he worked with, he went on a listing appointment and the lady didn't want to list the property with him. And then we ended up novating it and making $30,000. Her husband had just passed away. She was an older lady. She wanted to move out of state and wanted to be done with it. The house needed minor things. It wasn't like updated, but it didn't need crazy touch-ups. And she said, I don't want open houses. I don't want to deal with a realtor. She was so like emotionally distraught that the process of listing it was too overwhelming for her. And I think for realtors, sometimes that's hard because we're like, why wouldn't they want to list it? There's a negative perception with listing properties. Unfortunately, some realtors have ruined it for other realtors. So a lot of times you're trying to convince sellers on like why listing is the right approach. Maybe they had a bad experience before, like something happened where they don't feel that's the right approach. The way we present novations is as a service. I don't get into the specifics of I'm going to list a home and I'm going to do all of that. I focus on the service that we're providing. For that lady, for example, we had to do some appraisal repairs and some inspection repairs. We handled it. She didn't have to worry about it. We helped her get a mover, right? We helped her negotiate a post-occupancy. We did a lot of stuff for her, so it was worth it for her. Not a lot of realtors are willing to do much, right? They just put it all on the seller.
Did you like obviously you still had showings, right? Like and she wasn't living there?
She was living there. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'll tell you like from a sales standpoint, to give you an idea, right? Because I think this is hard for realtors to understand. Like, why wouldn't she just list it herself? Is like, you have to understand that this is a service. And once you value the service, you can pitch it and present it confidently. Because it took me a while to like understand it. But as a listing agent, like Aaron says, sell you don't focus on the specifics. Let's say you go to a listing appointment and you tell your seller, I'm going to list your home and I'm going to get you $500,000. But in order to do that, I need to do an open house every single weekend. We're going to have people walk through the house every single day. Then I'm going to ask you for 5 price reductions. Then I'm going to, you don't focus on the specifics. You focus on the outcome that they're going to get. And that's the whole appeal. It's a service. It's a hands-off experience. I don't get into the specifics of how the process works, but I do ask for permission for access and all of that. So it's a transparent process. Yeah.
And you negotiated the price with that.
Exactly. Yeah, I build into the price what my repairs are, and I make sure that the numbers work, right? I don't get them under contract unless I know I can actually sell it, because that's where like my ethics go in. I'm not just doing it just to do it. Yeah.
have you ever done an Novation deal and lost money?
No, we had one recently, and we just closed on it last week where we had a buyer. It was a divorce situation where the seller was the only one on title, and he was like, yeah, my wife's cool. Everybody's cool. My acquisitions person was like, trusted him. We had a buyer, and then the wife came into the picture. We were going to make like $30,000 on it. Then we had to like get the wife involved. It took us 6 months to get it to the finish line, and we lost 3 buyers. We didn't lose money on it, but we went from 30,000 to 10,000. So we were like, you know what, just take it and run, because our team had worked on it. But that does happen. I have yet to lose money. If you were losing money, you always have the option of walking away from the deal, right? So it's also very low risk. If I was ever in that situation, I would flip it to a listing or just offer a different solution. And what I've noticed a lot of times with sellers, when you've built rapport with them, you can flip from a cash offer to a novation to a listing easily if you have trust, because we have done that before. Yeah.
Who's paying for the repairs?
We are, as the investors. Yeah.
When you say we, you and the agent are partner.
Me and my business partner. The agent is just acting as a listing agent in the transaction.
So what they're doing is they're outsourcing the sale to that other agent.
Yeah.
They're just the mechanism with which they can sell the property.
Yeah.
So they get that other agent involved, their boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
No different than like Zillow selling you a lead and you have to go do the work.
Yeah.
They're hiring the local person, the
Right.
agent, to do the work and giving them a piece of it.
Yeah. Don't list your own novation. So if we let's into the logistics of being a real estate agent doing novations, your name is on the contract or your LLC. You can't be the listing agent because there's a conflict of interest. So we always hire a real estate agent to represent us when we do these deals. Depends. If it's a local, like I have a lot of referral partners and people that 1%. Sometimes we use flat fee service companies. I wouldn't suggest flat fee service companies because it requires a lot more internal management. I have a transaction coordination team set up. So in Florida, we get away with using the flat fees, but anytime we go outside of Florida, we always hire a real estate agent just because we want to have that service. But you have to be really mindful of who you choose. We're vetting the agents to make sure they don't think we're scammers or because they could kill the deal if they think this isn't, they don't understand it, right?
I have a question. Have you ever had a seller that just said, you know what, I just want to take my house off the market now. I just don't want to sell.
I have one today that anytime that happens, my team gets me involved so I can get, anytime there's a fire, I'm going to have a conversation with him today. He just says he's changing his mind about selling. It doesn't happen often because we work with highly distressed sellers, but I'm going to have a conversation and I'll let you know how it goes. He says he's changed his mind about selling, so we'll see.
And has that ever been where you've done the repairs already and just said, I'm done with this? It's taking too long?
No, because when we were doing heavy repairs, like there was one property we invested, the most we've invested is $40,000. We had so much trust and rapport with that seller that we knew she wasn't going anywhere, and we structured the paperwork differently. We had a deed in lieu that if for some reason they changed their mind and walked away, we had the option of taking over the property. That was like a unique structure. It was the only way to make the deal work because there was an association involved. They wouldn't let us go through and buy it and resell it. But usually on these deals, it's very small, like 5,000, maybe 10,000. You have to have a margin of money that you're like, okay, if the deal goes south with losing. Mine is 5,000. Anything above 5,000, I'm like not happy. So that's why we keep everything to the end. Inspection, let's say the inspection comes back and you need to do 20 things. We'll agree to it, but we won't do them until we know for sure it's a done deal. And we make sure that this seller qualifies for this offer. I'm not doing this just with anybody. If I sense, my spidey senses tell me that the seller is not the right type of seller, I won't do it. Hey.
The repairs is like a seller credit. Yeah.
We do seller credits as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need to do the repairs though for the appraisal to go through. Yeah, or the buyer's like very adamant, but we do a lot of seller credits. Yeah.
In other words, like the credit is the
Profit.
rule. Right.
Yeah.
The way, like I've done a couple of these and I tell them it's a cash offer experience, but then how do I go from that, they're cool with, to they allow the showing?
Yeah, we disclose it. So, and I'm actually reworking my pitch right now to make it even like more concise, but if they want more money, we pivot out of the cash. Like, hey, I really want to help you out with like the cash option. It's just not going to work. It's much lower than what you were expecting. Like, I do have this other option available where I can get you a lot more money. All we need is just a little bit of time and access. Like, would you be opposed to that if it meant you could make an extra 20, 30,000? No, I wouldn't. And then once they agree to it, I get into specifics of like how we do it. But once they've agreed to it and you're like in this marriage state of the process, you're like, hey, I told you we were going to need access to the property. We always vet the buyers up front very heavily. So by the time we bring someone in, we want to make sure it's someone that's like ready to go. So we won't ask you for access every single day or anything like that. We'll work around your schedule, maybe like once or twice a week. That's it.
What they're paying for is like to not have to worry about the inspection.
It's a lot more than that. Like, think about dealing with a seller and all the emotions. And if you could take the emotions and just make it a more rational transaction, that's what we are doing as investors. So how many times have you gone to your seller and you're like, the buyer wants a credit and they're losing their mind over a credit. They want to cancel. These buyers are like the worst people in the world. Because we're investors and we can be more rational, we're taking the emotions out of the experience and we're facilitating the transaction. There's value in that. My business practice is I don't renegotiate on cash deals or novations unless it's a must. Like if I'm making $5,000, that was what I told the seller. I'll take the money and I'll run with it. That's how I run my business because ethics is high on my like list of things. Now, if the only way to make the deal work is I need to get a price reduction, that's when I go back to the sellers. Not every investor is like that. Some investors will renegotiate just for the fun of it. That's not necessarily my business practice, but we do get price reductions on novations because if it's the only offer that I have to go back and make it work. I honestly only had that happen once where they were upset about how much money we were making, but they find out how much you're making. You're listing it, so they're seeing it listed. So depending on the type of seller, the one time that it did happen, we had put money into the property and we told him, look, everything we told you we were going to do, we did. We put our money to market the property. We fix up the property. So you're getting the amount that you were promised. And on that deal, we weren't making that much money. I think we were making like 20. So it also wasn't like a lot of money. So he saw the value in it. I have other investors that I work with that has happened more. If they do get upset about how much money you're making, you can always just close on it yourself. Yeah.
They're contractual obligations.
You can just close on it. Yeah. That's it. I haven't had that happen. But if it were to happen, I would go back. It's always a conversation, right?
And I would imagine, like, you tell me, is it the reason why you haven't had that happen frequently is because of how well you explain and set it up on the front end?
It's also the type of seller that you're working with and the rapport that you build on the front end. Like, I'm really good at the motivation component. Like, some of you guys that are on my calls in my community, I take a lot of time to build and understand the seller situation. So I build a lot of trust with them. So by the time I have to do a price reduction or anything else, you know, they've connected with me. And I also think it's the right type of seller, because if they were money driven and money motivated, they would have listed the property. So it's the avatar that we're working with. Mm-hmm. We get in our heads, and I think the biggest thing is the belief, like, why don't they just list it themselves? A lot of people don't want to list properties. They're looking for something that's more customized, that's a hands-off experience. And if we could provide that to them, that's the ideal solution. I've never had a seller in Novation go back and tell me, you guys screwed me out of money. Like, it doesn't happen. It's more in our head than in reality. So the process of these leads is getting really good at qualifying and knowing what to present. So a lot of times as I'm qualifying, I determine it's going to be a listing lead because the signs are there. They're not showing me any signs of distress. There's no real like time urgency. So when I'm noticing that it's going to be a listing, I'm disqualifying the cash offer. So like one line that I'll use is like, hey, would it surprise you to learn that homeowners that sell to a cash buyer, it's typically one of three reasons. One, the property's in disrepair, it needs a lot of work. Two, they're going through a situation where like they need the money now. Or three, like they just don't have the time or the energy or the resources to go through listing the property on the market. Like even if it meant more money, they just don't want to deal with all of that. I don't know if any of those are relevant to you. And they'll disqualify themselves. Like, no, I want more money. And like, my house is perfect. And so then you pivot out of that and then you go into the listing option. We get really good at running numbers, and it's really easy to run numbers out of state. I was like, once I understood it, I was like, it's so simple. Zillow has active sales and closed sales. There's certain states, like Texas is a non-disclosure state. So Texas is a little bit harder to comp if you don't have access to the MLS. So I have a system on how to do it in places like Texas, but PropStream is a tool that you can use to comp anywhere, and Zillow has access to the information. So it's very easy to do. The way that the repairs work in Cassidy, I said it right? Said it right. We do a lot of seller credits. So the credit comes out of our profit margin. So let's say we built in $40,000 we were going to make on the deal, and we need to give a $10,000 credit for a roof. That comes out of our profit margin. We're still making $30,000, so we're good with that. So a lot of times we just do credits, and it's a lot easier than doing the repairs ourselves.
And if you think about it, it's the same thing as a listing agent. One, if you're a listing agent, you're regularly not going to get repair scheduled until the buyer removes all contingencies. That's normal process because the buyer could fall out before that.
The difference is you make more money. So negotiations, like as a listing agent, is like, let's say you go back and you get your seller to agree to like, you know, a lower amount. Your commission isn't going to move much. But on these deals, anytime you get the seller to agree to a lower amount, that means you make more money, like an extra $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. So negotiating on the front end and knowing your numbers is where you make the money, because you know what you can list it for, what your costs are. And if you negotiated lower in the front end, that means you make more money.
And I would also suggest, which I know you do, is that to have a buy box.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what's an acceptable profit for you before you're even going to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So when Jack started down this path, he's like, well, how do I know what's what? I'm like, well, you need to have a buy box on specifically how much money you want to make on per transaction. Because I'm imagining that if you look at something in the Novation, you're going to make like $10,000, you might be like, I don't think it's worth the time and energy and effort. Let's go look at a different option.
And we don't always make 30,000. There's some deals where we make 50, 60, 30 is our minimum, right? But because I've learned the skill of negotiating, if they're willing to take lower, like obviously I'm going to make more money. There's some deals where we make less, and there's certain markets where like we shoot for 30, but we end up making 12, 15. Like it's fine, but we always shoot for 30. The mistake I see investors make is they're very optimistic in their numbers and they shoot for 10 and then end up making nothing. So that's why I set my margins at 30,000 because I can always work my way down and still be profitable. Yeah, I've never lost money on a Novation because we build in a bigger margin. We might make less than what we wanted to on the deal, like that one where we're only making 10, but we shot for 30 on that one. Just life happens. So with Novations though, our minimum we want to make is 30,000. So that's my minimum. So let's say 190 gives me 30,000. I know that that's like my highest that I can offer. So we have like what we call MAO, which is our maximum acceptable offers as investors. So we work off like, this is the most I can pay, but then I negotiate down from that. So I don't start at 190, I'll start at like 120 because I know I can always work my way up.
Right.
We do marketing, so we do PPL and we do Facebook ads, but we've also built a second branch of our business that's joint venture opportunities from people that are bringing us deals. So one thing that we do is we build out our buyers list, right? You have all kinds of buyers. You have your buyers that hire contractors, like we hire contractors, so we need to buy at a cheaper rate. But then we've also had a lot of success with people that are like, even our past clients that are okay with making like 30,000, 40,000 on a deal. Like those end up being better buyers because they're okay with the smaller margins than your experienced guys. And also you have the handyman, the contractors that do the work themselves. They buy the smaller margin deals. But I know enough about like how investors buy to know if it's a deal or not. And I know in my local market, for example, I can wholesale anything because I have a good mix of buyers. But anytime I'm not certain about whether it can be wholesaled, I just go Novation because then I can just put it on the market. It's a lot easier of a process. Yeah. All right. We talked a little bit about the pitch, guys, but it's more about how we're presenting it, and we're presenting it as a service, right? It's a hands-off experience. They get the same experience of the cash offer, no commissions, no closing costs. They don't have to do any repairs, and we're taking off everything off of their plate and we're putting it on our plate. Some of you guys are agents right now and you're doing all of that, but you're not getting compensated as much as you should, right? You're still making your 3% commission and you're hiring movers and you're doing a clean out and you're doing all that stuff, but you're making a lot less money. So why not get compensated for the service that you're providing? So once the contract is signed, so there's 3 documents that we get the seller to execute. It's a purchase agreement, novation, and indemnification agreement. Just spells out to the title company the type of transaction that we're doing. And then an attorney in fact authorization so we can sign like listing docs. Depending on the relationship that you have with the seller. So what I teach my community members is to be very transparent about the process and get the seller to sign your final offer, because that's a very clean transaction. And I've talked to a lot of different attorneys on how to do these deals. And if the seller signs the final offer with the buyers, it's super clean. Now, some investors do it different. They get an authorization to sign as limited attorney. In fact, they sign for the seller. That there's a little bit of a gray area there. So depending on how you want to run your business, you could do it both ways. But I would suggest you get really good at presenting it, presenting the value, and just have the seller sign the final offer. That's the best and cleanest way to do it. So the seller remains untitled throughout the whole process. Ownership doesn't transfer until after closing. And then the process is handled the same. Title company, TC. Make sure you work with a Novation-friendly title company. That's the most important thing. Because when a title company doesn't understand the process, then they're working against you. So make sure that you work with a Novation-friendly title company wherever you are. And I can get you guys referrals depending on what market you're in. Step 4, we went ahead, but the marketing process, it's very similar to a listing. I would say it's like the exact same process. Coordinate photography. The only thing that changes is we price it very aggressively. We want to undercut the market. This is very time is really important in these transactions, just like it is in your listings. The longer it sits on the market, the more your sellers just start to get wary. Because we're presenting this as like a quick option, hassle-free, we have to get it done quickly and hassle-free. So everything you said you were going to do, you have to do it. So whatever the highest listing is actively right now, let's say it's 400, we try to go at 370 or 360. So we want to undercut everybody in the market so we can get an offer within 30 days, max 45 days, and we can have it close quicker. Now, I do deals in rural markets where there's small populations. I always look at days on market to determine how long it's going to take to sell a property. So if it's in an active market like a Dallas, Houston, Miami, I know it sells quicker and I look at days on market. But rural markets like the middle of nowhere, those properties take a lot longer. So I set the proper expectations that it's going to take us longer to get them that amount. So those agreements I get for 180 days if I can get away with it, because those markets move very, very slow. And then the contract and closing, the seller signs the HUD, signs everything. You could get the seller to sign the offer, or you as the investor could sign for them with an attorney. In fact, the best, cleanest way is to just get the seller to sign the offer. You handle the repairs and the inspections after the appraisal, and we manage everything, all negotiations, and then the closing is scheduled. So there's pros and cons with everything. So I want to tell you guys what they are. So the pros is, for any of you guys that have done wholesaling, the biggest challenge we have with wholesaling is you have to have a buyer's list or build it out, right? You have to have investors that want to buy the deals. And then it's a off-market game where you're sending emails, you're texting your buyers. It becomes like a full-time job. With Novation, you can just put it on the MLS and the MLS sells the deal for you. So you can go into another market very easily. You can also offer more money to sellers, so it's a competitive advantage. And you avoid a lot of those heavy costs of doing a fix and flip, like holding costs, private money, all of that stuff. And then you can go into a smaller market. Like I just did a deal in Ottawa, Illinois, that was a 30,000 property and we made 12,000 where the average commission is $900. So you can really make big money even in small markets. Anytime I'm going in another market, I'm not going to go wholesale. I'm always going to go Novation because I can just list it on the MLS. We used to do it where we would wholesale in other markets before we were using the strategy. We would have to reach out to investors in our network in that market. We had to go on Facebook groups. It was this whole ordeal to try to sell a deal versus now we can just list it on the MLS and it's easy. Now, the cons are that you do have limited time. We want to get these sold within 60 to 90 days, sometimes even faster. You have to price it aggressively, so you have to know your numbers, and you need to get good at negotiations. Like you always want to get the seller's bottom number. The biggest difference when I went from an agent to an investor was investors focus on the bottom number that the seller's willing to accept. Agents, we naturally go into like, what's the highest number and like, how can we get them that? And it's a whole reworking of your mindset. Like it's not about money, it's about what they're willing to take. We still have to negotiate even lower from that. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I've never had a seller that I bought from that feels taken advantage of. Sellers know what their house is worth, especially older sellers. Daniel Carrar is looking at me because that's what I tell them in my community. Older sellers have a lot of time on their hands. They're going on Zillow, they're talking to the neighbors, they know how much their house is worth. So a lot of times when you're talking to these distressed sellers, they're giving you a price because they've taken into account the house needs repairs, the house needs this, the house needs that. So you're never going to take advantage of anybody because they know how much their house is worth. And when they accept a number, they were willing to take it. So take those limiting beliefs off of your hand. And then multiple showings can frustrate the seller, so you have to be really intentional with access. If the seller does back out, you lose the money that you invested. So you have to have a threshold of how much money you're okay with losing. For me, it's $5,000. But why don't they just list a home? This is what a lot of us agents have to overcome. It's a process. It's a hands-off experience. They're looking for convenience. You're providing them that. They don't have the money to do the repairs, or they're not local. So I work with a lot of probate sellers that are not local, and we come in, we take care of everything. We do the clean out. We make the process hassle-free for them, and we get compensated at a higher amount versus a lot of you guys are only making 3% and going through all of this hard work for just a little tiny amount. So money is not the most important factor for a lot of distressed sellers. It's convenience. We just have to get really good at pulling that out of them. And they don't like the process of listing open houses, meeting with multiple agents, showings. We eliminate that from them. It's overwhelming for them. Here's some case studies. So I wanted to show you guys the difference of like a listing commission versus the profits that we're making on deals like this. So we did a deal in Seminole, Florida. $400,000 was our contract price. $12,000 would have been the commission, and we made $50,000 on that deal. We did another deal in DeLand, Florida. $5,100 would have been the actual commission, and we made $27,000 on that deal. We did a deal in New Jersey. The commission would have been $7,000. We made $72,000.
It's a little better.
Just a little bit more money. We had a deal in Ottawa, Illinois. This is one of the smaller deals. I will say in smaller markets, the margins tend to be lower. Like if you're doing $10,000 on a smaller market, you're good. That deal, we were going to make $25,000, but we ran into some challenges with the seller, had to give some credits. But $12,000 compared to $900 is still, I'll take that all day. And the biggest thing with understanding and pivoting to investing and learning all these things, it wasn't just the fact that I broke through limiting beliefs and was able to do stuff I never thought was possible, but it was that I built my business around my values. And it took me a long time to get here because when I was just chasing money and chasing the next deal, I didn't understand that your business could actually serve you and the lifestyle you're trying to create and the life you're trying to build. So one thing that was really important for me I'm in my early 30s now, thinking about that next stage of life. I wanted to have kids. I didn't want to go to in-person appointments. I didn't feel safe. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was ideal for me to have a baby and go meet with sellers in person. So I wanted to do everything virtually. That was the biggest motivator for me transitioning to wholesaling. So I built a business that is virtual. I don't do anything in person with anyone, and I built systems around it.
Say that again.
I don't do anything in person with any seller, no matter what it is, no matter the price point. That wasn't easy to do. Nowhere. I do not leave my house. Now it is hard, right? Because you have to, in the beginning, as I was making the transition, you do get sellers that call you, like your past client or somebody, and they're like, hey, go meet with me on a Sunday for a listing appointment. And I have to be like,
You actually asked me. I remember we were on a call and you asked me about that.
I was like, should I go meet with them? The same way Aaron had to make sacrifices, I had to be really firm on the business I was trying to create. And I'll tell you what it did for me. When you burn all the ships of like, I'm never going back to doing this again, you get more intentional about mastering this process, right? So I'm like, I'm never doing in-person appointments, so I have to get really good at doing it over the phone. So I dialed it in, I hired a coach, I role play, I practice like the same framework that I did, and I made it wasn't optional. I never meet with anyone. And it's hard because some investors do meet in person, and sometimes you feel like you're leaving money on the table, but these are my values, and this is a business that I'm trying to create. So I have to stick to it. And I haven't met with a seller. I think last year when we came, I was still doing some in-person appointments, and I had conversations with some of you, and I was like, okay, never doing it again. I was doing it on the wholesale side. I didn't think it was possible to do it on the listing side. And then being here around everybody, I was like, you know what? Jessica's doing it virtually. Aaron's doing it virtually. I made the pivot, and I haven't met with the seller since.
Amen.
Yeah. Now that I have the downline, what I'm going to start doing is just handing off those opportunities to them, because I do agree that there's people that are hungry and like can't take advantage of it just because it's not where I am in my life. It's not, somebody else isn't. So now I'm on the path to building the life that I want because it's virtual. I feel like I'm setting myself up for having a baby and a family and being able to work from home. And like, that's what I wanted to create. Now, the other thing is connection. I love people. I love humans. I love people. I'm a naturally like curious person. I like understanding humans. I like building community. So that was another value for me, connection and helping others. So now through my community, I'm teaching people, I'm leading them, I'm helping other people make money, and through Elite Builders as well. And then the other thing was time freedom. This is something I'm still working on, guys. I'm a work in progress, I will be honest, because I have a tendency to go all in on a business, and then I'm doing it because I wanted time freedom, but then I'm investing all of my time into it because I'm so passionate about it. So I'm working on it. But the fact that I can do bigger deals, I don't have to spend as much time chasing listings and going on appointments and doing all of that, because you can get to your revenue goals faster. And then when deals come up that I think are in alignment with my, long-term passive income goals, I do keep them. Like I kept one deal last year that was really good. There's a couple deals this year that I'm looking at. So I'm building the portfolio, but doing bigger deals has given me that freedom and time. Now, I take that time and I do content and I do other stuff just because I love to work and I love to build. But if I wanted to not work so much, I could.
Well, and you see too the vision of, as you do that simultaneously with attraction, it'll help you to get to that passive income.
Yeah. I'm also using the skills and the knowledge that I have to attract agents. So that's what's going to give me ultimately also that passive income that I'm looking for without putting a lot of work in. It's just learning all these skills and teaching agents. It's honestly the best thing to attract agents, because what do agents want? They all want to invest. A lot of us got into real estate because we wanted to be investors, and then we started closing a couple deals and then we forgot.
Well, and I remember at the last leadership retreat in Sedona, we were just sitting there and I hear her like, and I'm like, oh, is she okay? And she went onto her app and she got like a $1,600 from RevShare. She was like, bro, that's more than my rental that I just bought pays me. And it started to click, right?
Yeah. And I really like helping agents build into this dual agent where they can do both. They can do the investing, they can do the listings. All of you guys are successful in your field already. And I think once you make the pivot, you're going to absolutely crush it. Like Andrew, Sohail, like people hear that, Jessica, because you're going to be able to do a lot more in less. Like if your revenue goal is X amount, and we always think like, I want to do 100 deals. Like you don't, you actually have to do bigger deals, and you get to your goal faster. You have more time to be with your family, and you don't need to be hustling on the phones as much. Yeah. That should be the goal. So I wanted to show you guys testimonials, but I don't know how to play it. But this is really what I have found has given me the most purpose at this stage of my life. It's not more money. It's not more deals, even though I'm always going to strive to do more deals and make more money because that's just my personality. It's helping other people. So Lisette, she closed her first wholesale deal, made 30,000. Eddie made 98,000. Rochelle made 35,000. So helping others and allowing people to make money through the skills that I've earned. This is what I was always meant to do. And I feel like I'm truly living in my purpose. And I just want to continue building that and expanding that because it feeds my soul. So I'm asking you guys here today, where are you limiting yourself, right? In what areas is your unwillingness to learn new strategies keeping you stuck? Write those questions on and then you can journal on them later. Are you robbing others of your skills and your leadership, right? There's a version of you from 5 years ago who could benefit from you growing beyond just listings. I think it was Eliseo, it's ridiculous because Eliseo is like incredible at what he does. He's like, I don't know if I know enough. The people that you are going to attract is who you were just a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And that's been true for me. I've attracted a lot of people that naturally resonate with me, my personality, my drive. So you just need to be a couple steps ahead of the person that you're coaching and leading. And a lot of you are not steps ahead. You're like 100 steps ahead. So you know enough, but mastering real estate as a whole, because real estate is this pie and you guys are just doing listings right now and buyers. You just have like a little piece of the pie, but there's creative finance, wholesale, novation, like all these other things that once you learn it, then you really are a master of real estate. So you staying small doesn't just hold you back. It robs people of your gift and your leadership. So I don't know how to use AI. I wanted to create myself in a little AI jumping from state to state, but as you can see, that's all I was able to do. Looks just like me. So these are all the states that I've done deals in. My goal is to fill that up. So light all that up and do deals in every single state. And then here you go, guys. My gift to you, I'm going to share with you guys the Novation scripts that we use and a deal calculator. If you're in my community, don't scan it because you already have it. But if you're not. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
We do not have perfect. We have our perfect. That's where a lot of people get lost in success because they're using a metric of money. Your biggest risk in business is in bed with you. Nothing comes between Team Us. Everything we can replace. We are building something bigger than us. And it's a legacy that is not measured by money. Your children are a message to a future you'll never see.